but we are now recording the session just so that you know. I think everybody is already muted, but just to make sure, I will just mute everybody. And obviously, if you want to keep your camera off, then that is absolutely fine. So good afternoon, no, good morning still. So good morning. It is Friday and it is the last of our planned 6 sessions. And thank you to everybody that is completed the set. So whether you're watching live or whether you've watched on YouTube or a mixture of both, thank you for completing the set. That's fantastic. And I hope that you've been enjoying them. I hope that they've made a lot of sense, and I hope that they've given you lots to think about, and maybe ways to think about yourself or people that you love or people that you care for or whoever it is that as we've gone through that they have been useful. But we've still got another half hour to go, and one of my most favourite things to talk about today, I'm going to, in the background here, I'm just going to open something up actually, because what I might do is I might even actually share a screen with you later on. Not that there's very much to show you on it, but it'll make a lot of sense when we get to the end of today. Just as always, if you've not tuned in and this is your first one, hi, I'm Brian. There's another 5 of these to watch, and all of the lives, including this one, and maybe you know that already because this is where you're watching it, is on the Scottish Aquaculture Innovation Centre YouTube channel. So if you want to see other ones, if this is your first one, then please feel free to pop over there and you'll find them all. And so you can watch them again, you can watch little bits, you can even show other people if that's particularly what you want to do, and you can go, look, watch this. I think even, and by the way, for any of you that are mums, dads that own teenagers, or if you happen to have, you know, a teenager lying about somewhere, things like that, you go, that's just like them. Or if it's like your husband, your wife, your partner, your mum, you might even just want to show them 5 or 10 minutes. Some people think that half an hour is quite a big commitment. So you just go, look, just watch this 5 or 10 minutes, because I think it really sums up what's going on in either maybe your head or their head, but let's see where it goes. As a summary of, and a very quick summary, because we've got a lot to cover today, of what we've done over the 5 sessions, just so that you can realise just how much you've learned. I mean, it's only been ultimately 2.5, about to be 3 hours, and you've learned so much stuff about mental health in your mind. We started off, obviously, by talking about this idea of how thoughts cause feelings. That then moved on to this idea of the bubble, and the fact that actually the thoughts that you have about the things that happen are caused by and are created, if you like, by the moments that make us in our lives. All these bits of memory that all stack together, both the drip feeds, if you remember, which were the ongoing small things that changes over time, sometimes massively positively as well, and then the big bangs, the boom, the big things that come along, and they sometimes blindside us in terms of being the negative things, but sometimes they're just these amazing moments in life that we'll never ever forget. We then moved on to the idea of motivation, and the fact that what all of this creates then is this feeling inside you, and you get taught over all of your life about what you value. Things like security or independence, communication, respect, trust, honesty, all of these different things that drive you to be able to make decisions in all these different areas of your life. And then just on Wednesday there, in number 5, we talked about the idea of being normal. What's your normal? And I'm hoping that some of you took my homework on. I'm hoping that some of you have changed something, you know, like all of a sudden there's a plug socket that's now attached back into the wall, or a light bulb has been changed, or I don't know what it is. Maybe you've fixed a scratch in your car like we talked about on Wednesday. I don't know what it is. Maybe you've tidied something. You've tidied that drawer that I talked about. You've done something. I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, I'm sure it's made a big difference, and it's a good thing that you've done it, whatever it may be. But now we're going to move on to, in our last session, is to talk about change and how we make change stick. Because what we've talked about in the previous 5 sessions, I mean, we've talked about change. We've talked about how you can change your thoughts and how you can tweak your bubble, how memories maybe aren't as fixed as you think they are, how your values really drive you, all of this different stuff. And when we talked about normal, one of the ideas about things about normal is, as I said, is that quite often you don't even notice it's happening. You don't realize that it's even there because it's just normal. You remember, as I said, mild swear word alert, but same shit, different day. And it just kind of comes out, and it's just these things that happen, and we take them for granted and we don't challenge it. And sometimes we really need to challenge it. But even when we do challenge it, sometimes we still find that when we try and make change happen, it doesn't stick. Like it's like changes for a wee bit, and then what happens is it all goes back to how it was before. And the question is, why? Why does that happen? Why is it that, and by the way, this is just one example, we'll use it a few times as we go through, but we will use other ones. But why is it that Weight Watchers are such a successful company? Why is it that Scottish Slimmers are why is it that all these diet companies are such successful companies? Because surely the way that our brain works is, I know we talked about efficiency the other day, but if we learn the rules, and somebody teaches you, this is what you do, and this is how you watch a calorie, and that's what we really, really want. Surely we are now all sitting here watching this with the perfect body that we've always wanted, sitting here, the perfect shape, the perfect weight, the perfect level of fitness. And what we're going to have for dinner tonight is we're going to have a lovely broccoli-based salad. And we're not going to drink pizza and beer. Drink pizza. You get what I mean. Just let me away with it. Session 6. I think we know each other now that we're not going to pull each other up for me saying that we're going to drink pizza. Anyway, you get my general drift. I got a new phone the other day because my phone broke and I forgot to put the vibrate off, and I'm worried that every time it goes, you're going to be able to hear it through the mic. So I just had to shift it out of the way. So why is that? Why does that happen? Why sometimes do we get pissed off with life and we commit to the fact that this time it's definitely going to be different? And it is for a little bit, and then it's not. Why does that happen? Well, the reason that it doesn't happen is because most often, actually what we're all doing is we're making what I call the 3 normal mistakes. There are 3 mistakes that we all fall into that we think are going to create big change, but actually they very rarely do. They sometimes do, but only because they impact on something else. We'll come to that a little bit later. That's when we get a little bit complex into this. But keeping it simple, we make the same 3 mistakes again and again. Everybody makes the same 3 mistakes. And not only that, but these 3 mistakes happen in an order where there's an easy one to make, which is the one that's the easiest to do. Then there's the next one up, and then there's a third one that almost sits at the top of the pile of at least the best mistake that you can make. Like, it's a decent quality mistake. At least if you get there, at least you've done a bit. But, anyway, let's start at the bottom, shall we? So the first mistake that people make is that what they do is that they just try and change their world. And you would think that when I say, let's change the world, that I mean, let's change the world. But I don't mean that at all. What I mean is that you actually try and change your world. For instance, if you did tidy that drawer or fix that little bit of wallpaper, which by the way are great things to do, attach the plug socket back in the wall, change the light bulb, whatever it was for you, whatever you did, tidied out your sock drawer, threw out all those old clothes that you don't wear anymore. Amazing how much energy that takes up, by the way. And just clearing that out, it just feels great, but it doesn't feel great for very long. Because when you do all these things, all you're doing is just changing your world. It's like retail therapy. In a day when we could go shopping, I love shopping. Some people think that I'm a bit strange as a guy to like shopping, because most guys about my age go, I hate shopping. I just go out with the wife. She buys everything for me. Not me. I'm like, yoo-hoo, let's go to Fraser's. Let's go to Ted Baker, one of my favorites, built for big, tall, skinny guys. It's great. Fantastic. Oh, I just remembered I was going to tell you a story today. Sorry, that just popped into my head. Right, I have to remember that. Anyway, we'll get to that. About tea in the park, if you remember that from the other day. Anyway, so I love going shopping. But, sometimes when you're feeling a bit flat and you go shopping and it kind of lifts you, you buy yourself something new and you think, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, look at me. I am looking great. Fantastic. I know that sometimes when you're in a bad mood, you could basically wear a designer dress that's been specially made for you, and you could still look and go, not exactly about, look at this, but look at that. But you know what I mean? Retail therapy, it lifts you. But it only lifts you because you've changed the world. You decorate your house. Decorate your house or move into a new house or even move into a new job. And you're like, so exciting. It's so new. Remember I said that normal is like it's almost like a metronome. It's like a wee rhythm that just pulses away just at the back of your head, the back of your life. Normal just comes back in. Eventually, once you've decorated the living room, it just becomes the living room again. You've tidied the drawer, but it will just become the drawer again unless you stay on it. That piece of wallpaper's fixed, but the question is, are you going to do everything else? You know, just changing the world doesn't change your life. What it does is it frees up little bits of energy that you can then use to change your bigger life. But in itself, buying yourself a new coat will make you feel good, but only temporarily. So therefore, changing your world doesn't really work. But we think it does, so we keep on doing it. How many people do you know that just keep on trying to make themselves happier by buying themselves things? But it never works. Or constantly changing their relationship, or changing their job, or even changing their house. But it just doesn't work. So what do we do next? Well, the next thing we do is we find some rules. We need to find a teacher. So basically what we do is we go, look, I'm totally lost. Somebody help me. Now, in itself, that's a good thing to do. Sorry, I need a wee drink of tea. In itself, that's actually a very positive thing to do, to find a teacher, to find someone that can help you. But what we start doing is we start following somebody else's rules. And what I call this is doing what you should. So you basically start doing lots of shoulds. I should be this. Loads of you will be doing this during lockdown. I should be keeping fit. I should have learned at least 4 languages by now. I should have learned to bake. I shouldn't be watching as much television. I should be fitter. I should be this. I should be that. I should. The problem with should is that you're following somebody else's rules. And actually, for a lot of people who are doing what they should, they can't actually be bothered doing it. This is a classic diet one, by the way. They can't be bothered doing it. They really want to eat pizza and drink beer, or drink pizza as the case may be from earlier. They really want to have the chocolate fudge cake. They can feel it inside. They don't actually really want to do it. This might be, Poke Stick moment. One of the biggest, by the way. There's another Poke Stick moment coming up later on, by the way. That's a giant one. Hold on to your seats, okay? So it's an absolute belter. But for this one, a Poke Stick, genuinely, I say to many people who approach me for weight loss help, you know, like just programming the head into weight loss. Not one of my favorite things to do, because I've got to admit it's not a lived experience of mine. So therefore, I understand the theory, but I've never lived it. I've got a slightly different attitude to that, which is not helpful with being a big, tall, skinny guy. But anyway, one of the things I always say to them is, convince me that you actually want to lose weight. Because I think you don't want to lose weight. I think you don't really care. I think that actually where you are inside your head at the moment is that actually if everybody would leave you alone and you didn't feel so judged, you would sit and drink beer and eat pizza and you would be perfectly happy with it to a level. But actually the real problem is actually higher up, because really the real problem is a self-esteem or confidence problem. It's not about just following a diet. What you have to do is you have to actually deal with the self-esteem and confidence issue. And then when you deal with that, then you won't have to do what you should, because actually what you'll start doing is what you want. And that's a completely different thing. Does this make sense? Sorry for the Poke Stick if any of you are going, oh my God, like he's talking to me. Apologies for that. I'm sure you're all fit, healthy and brilliant. But that's basically how it works. People go out and they follow these things. They try and stop smoking because they should, but actually they want to. They try and change their lives. They go to, how many of you have ended up, for instance? I'm hoping, in fact, in a business like this, in an industry like this, I'm hoping that this isn't true, because you have chosen a very, very specific career path that has taken you down a line into aquaculture. And that would suggest to me that you chose your degree carefully. But how many people do you know that have ended up in college, university, jobs that they did because they should, because mum and dad told them to? We do a lot of work in various schools. And the number of schools that we go into, especially in affluent areas, especially in high performance schools in affluent areas, and we meet all these young people who tell us what they want to do, but what they find is that mum and dad have said, no, there's not a job in that. I want to be an actor. I want to go to drama school. No, you'll go and become an accountant. And what happens is they end up doing what they should rather than what they want. And as we know, it tends to end up to people being generally unhappy. You see, the problem with doing what you should as a mistake is that because you're following someone else's rules, your normal is going, don't want it. don't want it, don't want it, don't want it. And at the background, it's just going, no, no, don't want it. It's almost you're fighting yourself constantly to try and keep on doing what you should. And eventually that's going to get tired, and your mind will get tired, and then this will just click back in and it'll go, thank you, I have won. And if not, then you'll end up tired and stressed. The third normal mistake, and the last of our 3 normal mistakes, and I've just realized the time, I get right into talking about the mistakes because people tend to sit there going, oh my God, that's totally me. And I'm delighted if that is you, if this is, because by the way, I do these, can I just say, I spent the whole of last year pretty much doing what I should and following rules that I shouldn't have been following. And I've been doing this for years. So don't think that I'm sitting here as some sort of model of perfection that goes, oh, me, I never do what I should. Honestly, it was a year of firefighting and very stressful. And I train this. I've been training this stuff for years, and I couldn't hear that the fact that actually when I was doing it, I was talking about myself because it was just my normal. I just have to keep going. But I'll talk about why that happened a little bit later. The third normal mistake is when we settle. And basically, the way I put that is we settle for second best. So we go, do you know what? This is good enough. Because you know what? I don't, and these all point towards, by the way, a lack of self-esteem and confidence. I don't deserve that. I can't get that. See that thing that person has? See how they're dead happy and they have happiness in life and they have a job that fulfills them, that they do, that they're really, really passionate about and that they totally love? That'll never happen for me. So do you know what? I'm quite happy here. See that relationship where they don't fight all the time and where they look really in love and where they walk down the road hand in hand and where they just look dead happy and they cuddle like really often. And it's just like, I look at it and I go, oh, I wish I could have that. I can't have that because, so do you know what I'm going to be? I'm just going to be happy with what I've got. Where are you settling for second best? Where is your normal become the point where actually you've pushed it to be okay? I mean, you've not put up with all the crap like you would do if it was just down the bottom, but it's still not good enough. And what you've ended up doing is just settling and going, this will be fine. The number of people that have just gone, do you know what? I've decided I'm just going to be fat for my life. That's just the way that I am. I can't do fitness. I'm never going to be healthy. When actually inside they don't like the fact that they can't walk up the flight of stairs, or the fact that physically they're starting to feel the effects, or that sometimes when they go on holiday, they don't feel comfortable in their clothes. They hate it all. But it's easier just to stay here. Easier just to settle for second best. But how do we change it? Well, now there's another 3 levels. And these are the 3 levels where we create massive change. Like if you ever want to change your life, what I'm saying to you is you want to focus on these 3 levels that I'm about to talk about. I do this because quite often it's drawn as a pyramid, but if I show you my slide in a few minutes, once we've finished this so you can see the whole model, funnily enough, it's not a pyramid. It's shown as a set of ladders, but you get my point. So what's the first level? Well, actually, we spoke about it on Monday, because the first level is about being true to your values. I call it being true to you. What is it that you truly want, and are you getting it at the moment? And what I would say to you is, if you understand what your values are, by the way, your values are the things that are straining at you when you're settling for second best. Your values are the things that are going, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough. Now, remember what we talked about on Monday as well, was that values have like 2 ways of being met. You've got like short term, where you can meet a value just like instantly. So let's say I have a huge value maybe of having loads of fun, right? So my value is of having fun. I could quite happily sit here tonight and I call it fun to get absolutely smashed out my face on 2 bottles of red wine. Would that be fun in the moment? Yeah, but long term, is it fun? No, not at all, especially not if it becomes a normal. But if fun is like feeling energetic and feeling loose and feeling like somebody who can, entertain or join in with people, then actually that might be just joining like getting a hobby where I get to meet people, or going and just being social. Might even just be going to a friend's house, or being that type of person. Longer term, I can get my values met. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself just now, like we said on Monday, what is important to you in your life as feelings? What do you want? Like the first 5 things that you want in life: fun, respect, communication, connection. Do you love adventure? Do you like security? Whatever it is, whatever the 5 things that you say is. And here's what I want you to do: demand them. Not ask for them or think, wouldn't it be nice if I got them? No, 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 no. Demand them from your life and you will create massive change. If your relationship isn't serving you, then demand that it does. Turn around and say, no, this isn't enough. It's not enough. It's not okay for you to treat me like this, but it's also okay not for me to treat you like this. This is not what I want. And actually, you can transform your relationship, because sometimes what happens in relationships, just like jobs and everything else, is they just become a normal. And you get stuck into these patterns that you don't even realize that you've got into until somebody stands up and goes, this isn't good enough. Something has to change. Now, here's the thing. This takes energy. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. He said an amazing thing. And what he said is that happiness needs effort. And actually, at the beginning, it genuinely does, especially if it's kind of slid the wrong way. You need to put some energy and you need to choose to say, I'm going to have my values met and I'm going to demand that they're met. This might cause arguments. You might find that your partner sits there, if it was about your relationship, and goes, nah, can't be bothered. And you're trying and you're pushing. I've got to admit that then says something. Are you going to settle for second best? Or are you going to live by your values? Because if that is the case, then living by your values sometimes means that longer term, the best thing for you to do is to turn around and go, this is done. I had a job once upon a time. I think I might talk to you about it actually earlier on in the week. And when I worked for one of the big financial organizations, I worked for Barclays, and it changed. I think I did. I think I spoke about it on Monday. And when it changed, it didn't fit with my values. And I hated it. It was horrible, but I stuck in it, settled for second best. And I shouldn't have. I should have said, this is rubbish. This does not fit me. I thought I was the problem, when actually it wasn't me that was the problem. I was demanding from my life a set of values, and what I ended up doing is what I should, and settle for second best. Now, that's only one level of 3. So there's something that's even better than that. And that's about asking yourself who you are as a person. Like, does your life genuinely fit who you are as a person? So for instance, if you're somebody who values things like security, maybe you like a simple life and that's what you want, why are you running about all these different places, chasing out after everybody and chasing about after everybody else when you want a simple life? That's who you are at heart, but you've ended up in this life that's really, really complicated. I'm not saying that all of a sudden off this call, I say bye in a few minutes and you go like that, right, that's it, everybody out. I demand a simple life. If you're somebody that demands adventure and you're currently finding yourself, and that's who you are, like you're an adventurer, you're an inspirer, you're a creator, and that's who you are, and you found yourself sitting behind a desk, at the moment, by the way, this is different, but if you found yourself sitting behind a desk as a full-time job in normal life, like sitting there going like this, going, I don't know why I'm so fed up, I don't know why I'm so unhappy, it's because this is not who you are. Who are you as a person? This is maybe something, if we ever get a chance to speak again, we can go into identity in quite a deep level, because there's various things that create your identity. But ultimately, the question is this who you are? I said that there was going to be a big pokey stick. Ready? It's for anybody that maybe isn't quite where they want to be in terms of their life, like especially if you're a parent. But is this really who you are? Sorry for staring right at you and saying this, but this is a straight down the camera moment. Is this really who you are? Like somebody who doesn't value themselves enough to change that doesn't maybe have the confidence in themselves to demand that this shifts? Is this who you really are? I'm going to say no, it's not at all. I don't think this is who you are at all. Who you are is somebody that knows exactly what he or she wants. The question is can you just tap into those resources that you know you've got to be able to create it? One of the most liberating moments in my life came the moment where I was given permission, and I will say it like that, to be myself. And interestingly enough, some of you might have heard this guy's name, and I've not seen him in a number of years now and been to see him, but it's a guy called Tony Robbins, big American motivational coach. Bit Marmite, some people love him, some people not too keen. I'd never been to a live event before with him. I'd heard CDs and stuff, because doing the job that I do, that's what he does, and you listen, and never really got it. Went to a 3-day live event, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And not from a point of view of learning, but what it was for me was watching him doing what he does and going, that's me. I can be like that. That's the me. That's the entertainer, the guy with that loves to motivate and inspire people. That loves to make people laugh, but also loves to make people really think. That's who I am. Whereas what I tried to be before that was I tried to be a scientist. Now, the way that this works is that this is how it works. By the way, I know that you guys are scientists. I know that all scientists don't speak this way, but that's my scientist voice. So stick with it. You know, I tried to be this guy who sat on a stool and talked. And all of a sudden, it was just this, where all of a sudden I went, oh, I can get off the seat. I can stand up and talk. I can get emotional when I speak. And it was transformational. So my next question is, who are you? But there's a level above that. And I said I'd tell you a story. I'm probably going to go on to about 5 past, by the way. If you have to go, the rest of it will be on YouTube. Before I tell you the story, I'm going to take a drink of tea. So my life changed, as I said, at Tea in the Park, 1998. Now, for those of you that don't know what Tea in the Park is, because maybe you're not from Scotland or the UK, it's a big music festival that used to be held in Scotland. It was Scotland's big music festival. And in 1998, just so that you can, again, these might be very British bands, so again, apologies to anybody, but apart from maybe 1 or 2 of them. But Space, do you remember Space from Liverpool? The female of the species. That was a cover, which I never knew. All of that type of stuff. Catatonia with Keris Matthews. I had a big thing for Keris. I went down the front for Keris. And I remember the Saturday of Tea in the Park, the sun was shining, it was baking. The Prodigy headlined. And then the next day, the Beastie Boys were on, who obviously everybody will know who the Beastie Boys are. But the interesting thing about Tea in the Park 1998 and why it became famous and what its big moment was the fact it was the summer of Robbie Williams. It was the summer of Angels. And we all stood there and we all sung Angels. Now, you're thinking, did Robbie Williams change his life? Did him singing Angels with however many thousands of people in a very sunny field in Perth, did that change his life? No. It's what happened after that. So we sat there, and I was there with my best friends, who are a husband and wife team, and my girlfriend, who I'd been going out with for 3 months. And at the end of Robbie, we'd all sung the songs. I'd probably had a few beers. What happened was that my girlfriend turned around and said, we need to go and have a talk. And I was like, oh no, it's only Saturday afternoon. This is going to be a bit of a buzzkill. What's going to go on here? So off we went, and off I trotted, following my girlfriend until we found somewhere to sit. And this is genuinely how it happened. We ended up sitting beside a set of bins at the back of one of the bars, because it was the only quiet spot we could find, was to go to somewhere where no one else would want to go. So we ended up sitting with our backs against some big bins. And my girlfriend of 3 months turned around and said, we need to have a talk because I'm pregnant. And I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Don't worry about it. Let's go buy more beer, and try to take off. But actually, it transpired she might have been right. The rest of the day was still fun, but it was definitely like a kind of I tried to ignore it, to be perfectly honest. I tried to put it, I said about the bubble, how it ignores things. I just tried to put it to the back of my mind. We woke up on the Sunday and it had been raining, so we decided to go home. And what happened was that we were walking down a small street in the place where I come from. This is a place called Paisley, which if you've ever visited and you've ever flown in, for anybody that's not Scottish, ever flown into Glasgow Airport, you've probably flown over my house. But I'm near Glasgow Airport, and we were walking down this little street, and I turned round to my girlfriend of 3 months and I said, do you know what? I've always wanted to be a dad, and I'm willing to give this a go if you are. And amazingly, she turned around and went, okay, are we going to go for this then? To cut the story short, that girlfriend of 3 months is just about 5 minutes ago just came back in from the shops going, shh, Dad's on alive. And that little bun in the oven that went to see Robbie with us, that was just a teeny wee thing, is now just finishing her 3rd year at university. At St Andrews University, where she's studying history of art, which is going to have lots of jobs in it. Basically, the story goes that we are still here. But here's why it changed. It changed because of the top level. Because the top level of this pyramid is that for the very first time since I was a young boy, I had a mission. I had something that was bigger than me. I had something that I had to do. Like, it wasn't I should do or I want to do. I had something that I had to do. And what I had to do was to make sure that this little girl got brought up right, and that I could provide for her, and that me and Sheena, who's my wife's name, my girlfriend at that time, that could look after her and make the best of whatever it was that we were going to have. In another random drunken moment, a sister came along, so there's now two of them as well. So my kids are now 21 and 19. But what had happened was that everything changed. I'd worked for 10 years in catering, 10 years, and I'd got nowhere. I think I might have mentioned that in some of the other lives. And all of a sudden what happened was within 6 weeks, I had my first proper job, working for the student loans company here in the UK. And I went for my interview with my bar uniform on, because it was all I had. I only had a bar uniform. That's how it was. So I had black trousers, white shirt, and for a job with the government, I wore a Sylvester and Tweety pie tie. And I went for an interview, and I always loved interviews, but I had no experience. I mean, they were looking for administrators. I had no idea even what that was. I just knew that it looked like a proper job and it had been in the paper, so I'd applied for it. And an amazing lady, I remember still this phone call, it was a lady called Moira Mitchell, phoned me a couple of days after, and she said, "You have nothing that I'm looking for." She's like, "But I don't know why, but I think you need a shot, and I'm going to give you that shot." Isn't it amazing how sometimes it's other people who just open doors for us? And I hope that you've got those people in your life. This isn't a solo thing. Being on a mission isn't about just being on your own. Being on a mission is about making the most of opportunities. And sometimes there's people there that transform your life without even knowing that that's what they're doing. I don't even know if Moira remembers me, but it was a massive moment in my life. And what happened after that, I ended up working for Barclays. And then in 2003, about 5 years after that, without any knowledge that this was going to happen, I walked into a training room and somebody said, "I'm going to teach you how the mind works." And I walked off that going, that's what I want to do. That there is what I am born to do, is to teach that stuff. And now where am I? I'm sitting in front of you doing just that. My mission has changed a couple of times because missions don't stay static. You see, missions change and alter. And I'll just show you this very, very quickly so that you can see what the model looks like, so that you can see it in completion. You see, the thing about this is that when you're on mission and when you've got that mission, nothing will push you off. See, when you're just doing what you should, people can shove you off, things can change. You're not resilient, normal comes back in. But see, when you're on a mission and your old bad normal tries to push itself back in, you're like, no. I changed my life in that moment. And well, technically speaking, it was the day after Tea in the Park, but let's not split hairs. Changed my life because for the first time I went, this is what I'm going to do. And now, 22 years later, I'm still on that mission. I'm still changing. I'm still looking to be a good dad. I don't know what yours is. And can I just say as well that sometimes your missions are smaller. Your mission might be to lose weight. Your mission, for my mission at times, has been to help myself build a business, to move house, to move into the house, to do all these things. Our lives are full of missions. I'm not asking you to just have one. But the interesting thing when we change our mission is what happens everywhere else. Because when we change our mission, these two levels change. And all of a sudden what happens is rather than settling for second best, you learn to push and you learn to become a master of your craft. You learn to make mistakes and realize that that's okay. You start to do what you want because now you're on mission and your mission aligns with who you are, and who you are aligns with your values. And you've got that top three in a perfectly straight line where you're saying, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I know how I'm going to go and get it and why I'm going to go and get it. And all of a sudden now you're just out there being able to go like that. Well, I'll try this. Oh no, that didn't work. I'm going to try this. Mastering your craft. You start doing what you want because you start to get flexibility and go, well, I know what, as long as I'm on a mission, and that changes your world. Everything about it changes. So I suppose what I'm saying here is that if you can just even have a small mission, maybe even just tap into who you are, or even at the very least, but it's still amazing, is start to demand that your life goes by your values. I promise that you will create massive changes in your world. And not only will you create massive changes, but they'll stick. And if you want to check if everything's working, Just ask yourself right now, even as you sit there just now, ask yourself, am I on mission? And I wonder what you would say. It has been a real delight to spend this time with you. I was trying to show you one last slide, which I'll very quickly pop up, but I'll pop it up at the end. I'll just leave it up for a wee minute so that if you want to note down any of the details of how to stay in touch with us, then you can. I hope that everything we've covered in these 6 lessons has maybe inspired you, motivated you, has given you some things to think about. It has been a joy to be here with you. I know that I can't see any of you, but your feedback's been lovely, and I hope that it has been a fun little adventure. Whether you watched one or whether you watched them all, I hope that it's been good fun and something that you've enjoyed. It's now about going and putting these tools in place. And it's about going out and using them and learning, and not just then just going back to your normal. Don't go back to your normal. Sit this weekend and think, how am I going to change my normal? What's my new mission? Doesn't have to change the whole world. It just has to change you. And I hope that you can do that. So for just now, I'm just shutting some stuff down so you don't have to see my calendar and all sorts of stuff, because the only way that I can get this to work is to share my whole screen. And what I'll do is I'll just pop this slide up for you. Maybe we'll speak again, and please stay in touch. If we can help in any way, please come and say hello to us. I'll put up a wee slide just now that will have some details on it about how to stay in touch with us. I'll leave it up for a minute or so if you want to note any of them down, or speak to Mary or Hazel, who have got all my contact details. I hope at some point to be at one of your conferences to speak to you live, and maybe we can get a meet and I can say, oh, you're that person. But till then, it's been absolutely lovely to spend this time with you. Thank you very much. And I will be speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much. See you later. Bye. Just realized you can probably see that chat as well, so I'll just take that. But thank you to everyone as well. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, folks. I'm going to end the video now. Thank you very much for joining us, for the few people that are left, and I'm sure I will speak to you again. Bye.